you.
Why don't you ever come to the movies with us?
You never, you never invite me.
That's not true.
No, I haven't been invited to a movie in like a month.
It's because you never go.
Well, you could try to ask.
Okay. Do you want to come see How's Moving Castle on Wednesday?
What time? Probably not.
What's up, everybody? It's the Poorly Edited Podcast, the show where we put a spotlight on some of the most creative minds we can find, as best as a couple college kids can do.
Don't do it, Pat.
Well. Oh, not very well.
I thought we were going on strike today, Pat.
Oh, were we?
Yeah.
I
missed the union meeting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys were unionizing so soon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really forward thinking of you.
You weren't supposed to know about it, but
Okay, well.
this is the only way we can get publicity about it.
I'll hire some scabs. It's okay. Well, you won't be here next week,
Wow.
actually.
Jump in.
Yeah, so I'll just hire a scab right away, and then, when you come back, you'll be replaced.
Where are you going,
Someone
Pat?
has to work the board.
Oh,
I'm going to Portland, Oregon.
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
All right.
Get dysentery. The Oregon Trail.
We're coming at you
I'm
live.
walking.
We're coming at you live from WXLV, The X, at El Tracy main campus. We got Lizzie Cates on the camera because our boy Josh Brennan is out in LA right now. Actually, I think he's in Arizona. I don't know.
I don't understand how that works. I
Yeah,
thought
I
he was
don't know.
flying there, but now he's driving.
Then he was
Whoa,
in Arizona.
whoa.
I don't know what's going on.
He
He was
saw
at the
the
Grand
Grand
Canyon.
Canyon.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm flying out to LA," and then we're like, "Okay, see you, Josh." And then he hits us up later that day. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm at the Grand Canyon in Arizona." I'm like, I don't understand how that trip's working.
That's okay.
How have you guys? I'm Chandler Davis.
Oh,
I forgot to
jeez.
introduce myself.
My name is Coffee Guy.
My name's Patrick Lilly.
How have your weeks been? this past
School's
week?
really bringing me down, man.
Really?
School has
It's been
been.
a busy second half of the...
Your school's been bringing me down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
has it?
actually,
That
it's
must
bringing
be
us all
real
down.
rough,
It is,
Pat.
yeah,
I'm
it
real
is.
sorry about that.
All those days sleeping and thinking
Yeah.
about how much school sucks for Zach.
Um,
yeah.
When are you ever gonna graduate? Dude?
Got to do well. I have a couple classes to take next semester, and then I'll be done. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
I see.
I'll have a degree in nothing.
Same.
So speaking of nothing, we got to do that. I got to do another video gig again. It's been a couple months. It feels like.
Oh, in one of
yeah.
your video classes?
No.
What are you
in-
talking? You
I'm
were
confused.
there.
Yeah.
We were both there. All three of us were there.
We were all
When?
there. I'm talking about Sharts.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
that was.
We filmed for...
I mean, it looked like fun at least. I was laying on the ground staring at a tiny
That's
red
true.
dot in the top
fine.
right of a.
Yeah, you were just
Viewfinder.
you were manning the tripoded camera,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like you just hit a button.
And I was
kinda-
like, the tripod camera was kind of in the shot, so I couldn't actually be standing behind it. So I was laying
Yeah.
on the floor, just making sure it was recording still.
yeah, I always was trying to get you out of frame and
pretty
like
sweet.
obscure the sight line
Yeah.
to
I
you.
was also trying to destroy my eardrums because I was laying next to a drum set that was
Yeah,
being
that's pretty
played.
cool.
Yeah, how was that?
It was a good time. I enjoyed that band though.
I
LA
couldn't-
Fast Life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Shout
couldn't
out
even
to
hear
them.
the drum set because I was in
Really?
front of the amps.
I was
Or the-
actually deaf the entire time.
Yeah.
My ears were
It was
ringing.
I
rough.
forgot you were pre-deafened for this show.
Yeah, so we were filming for Tape Swap Radio's Shards Sessions. They were doing a session with the band LA Fast Life, and they did an interview with them as well. They asked us to come out and film it for them. We happily obliged. It was a very fun time, and we were filming alongside Seamus McGowan as well.
Oh, that's not his last name.
What's his last
I
name?
don't know, but it's not whatever you just said.
Or is it McGowan?
No.
I'm putting you on blast right now.
I
Yeah.
don't know, man. I'm
You have to
sorry.
remember his name
It's
by the end
okay
of this
because he
interview.
showed up that day and he's like, dude, I don't remember any of your
That's true,
names.
he
And I was
did
like,
that.
that's
That is a
awesome.
good point.
That's
Yeah.
it's fair then. It's fair.
Yeah.
No, but they were all Matt Mulchaney is awesome. He's
Yeah,
an
great
amazing
dude.
producer, and LA Fast Life, they were very cool, very chill to work with, and yeah, it was just a really good time. Although for a lot of the shots I was doing, like I'm kind of at the point now already, and I didn't think it'd happen this soon. We're doing a lot of very loud activities that were around. A lot of bands playing and stuff like that, and I think I need to start wearing earplugs to protect my hearing.
That's usually
at
how
this
that
point.
works. If you
Yeah.
get to the point where you realize where you actually need to, or like where you're like, my hearing's destroyed. I should have worn earplugs. It's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
Right.
You have
So
to
I'm
get to the
trying to
point before
preemptive.
you don't have hearing anymore.
Yeah, because I was doing that shoot and I was like, my ears are already like halfway through that shoot. My ears are ringing really loud, and I was like, this is probably like I'm going to be doing this a lot And this is not good. Like, this is not a sustainable way to treat my ears like that. And, you know, because I was even, you know, I go right in there. I was right next to one of the monitors trying to get this, you know, low angle shot. My head is right next to it, just blaring in my ear, you know, and then I go home at night and all I listen to is ringing. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't been doing that for that stuff, because I'll wear them to concerts kind of often. Because when your ears get messed up like that during the show, you hear stuff differently.
Yeah.
Like frequencies get all messed up. So why would you pay money to go to a concert and then not hear it correctly?
Yeah, but then you have your ears all plugged up.
No, it's not. It's not quiet. Have you used them?
I have. Yeah, well, I have when I go shooting and stuff.
Okay.
But never to listen to music.
It's not as inhibiting as you think it's going to be.
See, that's what I was always afraid of. I know. Shout out to Mungo, Ryan Flynn, who we played at the top of the show. He actually wears earplugs everywhere, pretty much. Like the shows that I've been, like when he was at the 13 shows and stuff.
He's a smart boy.
I mean,
yeah, and he plays a drummer too. And I guess he wants to have
just, right
ears.
Beginning of the night, you can just pop him in there and just leave him in for the whole night.
He just kind of, I guess he wants to be able to hear things when he's like 20 years older.
Yeah, he's not gonna pull the Beethoven. We have to figure out music from vibrations.
Yeah, that doesn't sound optimal. Yeah, so I'm just trying to not go deaf too soon. I mean, it's probably going to happen. I've probably already done some irreversible damage long term, but I don't want to go deaf by like 40, you know? So,
I'm even for like 60 or something.
Yeah, at this rate, I will be, you know, if I don't change something. So I'm gonna try to get on that. We should just all have ear protection, I'd say, at this point.
I'm wearing them right now.
No, those are headphones. That's putting sound right into your ears.
Never mind.
That's pumping it directly.
The complete opposite result. And then we also, coming up this week, we have the Queen City film premiere with Brandon Wonders.
There you go.
I'm doing really bad with names.
Yeah,
Brandon, I'm second guessing myself now because of the whole Seamus controversy that I've drummed up now.
How do you spell Seamus?
Well, the E, isn't it?
S-H-A-M-U-S.
Or is it A-E?
I was really hoping you guys wouldn't actually do this.
I'm scared.
You can spell it a couple different ways.
You set me up. See, you're Irish,
how do you spell
though,
Sean?
so you know.
S-E-A-N.
There's one way, yes.
That's one way. Or S-H-A-U-N.
Or S-H-A-W-N.
Ooh, that's my least
Sean Spencer
favorite.
from Psych.
No, that's my least favorite way.
The W? You prefer the W over the U?
No, I prefer the U over the W.
Okay.
I prefer no H, personally.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's shorter that way.
I also have a cousin named Sean spelled that way.
You would.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, so we have the Queen City premiere on Thursday. Come out to, if you're listening right now live, when this goes up, it will have already happened. I'm sorry, and you'll never get to see it again. But if you're listening right now live, go to the premiere on Thursday at the Emmaus Theater at 7, April 11th, right?
I think so.
Yes. Yes, Thursday.
Yes, this Thursday. It's going to be lit. We're going to be there.
Yep.
So come out, hang out, watch a cool movie with us, and support the scene, man. You gotta support the scene. Don't be a poser.
Yeah.
And
Is
then
that your new thing?
What? It's very funny.
You've been saying a lot since the
really
concert.
funny. You never want to be a poser, dude.
It's true.
They were absolutely right. Mover Shaker was absolutely right at that concert. No one wants to be a poser.
Except most of the crowd is posers.
Except most of the crowd because they didn't dance. So we're then on Saturday we're actually going out to, dude, what's the name of the city? It's not Philly. It's outside of Philly.
Oh.
Upper Darby.
Oh,
That's
I
right. It
know
sounds
that,
like it's in
'cause Tower
Britain
Theater's
or
there,
something.
right?
It sounds
Yeah,
like
Tower.
a racetrack.
Yeah, it does. It
We're
does.
going to go down to Upper Darby and then bet on some horses.
We're going to Upper Darby at the Tower Theater.
Gonna bring my silver sword
to go interview the pianist of Dream Theater, the band Dream Theater. So pretty excited about that.
May have heard of them.
May have heard of them. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. I'm a little scared. You guys aren't going to be there, so thanks.
No.
Pat, you're going to Oregon.
I am.
So you're not going to be there for the next show. You're not going to be there for the Tower Theater show. And like, dude, you haven't missed a single episode of this show since it started.
I'm doing
Pat, how does it feel?
And now you're missing two back to back.
I'm gonna be chilling out on the Goonies beach. That's gonna be awesome.
Was the movie actually shot in Oregon?
I have no knowledge. I was just like, my brother's like, "Yo, we're going to Oregon. You want to come? We're gonna visit the Goonies beach." And I'm like, "I'm in."
That does not sound worth it to me. Are you taking a wagon there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I already
When you
made the
said
Oregon
that,
Trail.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
Also, for some reason, when you said that, I imagined like a radio flyer. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't even know why that's funny.
You have some issues you gotta work out, man.
Why is that on me?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and we saw a terrible movie 2 nights ago. It was absolutely
This
atrocious.
is kind of a big deal. Pat's been talking about Pet Semetary for as long as I've known him.
As long as I've known it, yeah,
Sure.
same. It's a book that means a lot to you, I would say.
It really doesn't.
Well, you talked about it a lot. I remember at the one party we went to about a year back, you were talking. That was your one party trick was talking about Pet Semetary.
And The Shining.
And The Shining, yeah.
Isn't that how you met Lizzie?
Yeah, our first encounter.
That's funny.
Of the third kind.
Pretty great.
Yeah.
And
Stephen
here we
King
are
right
now.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
I just think Pet Sematary is such a stupid, like, concept for a book from an outside perspective. I really enjoyed the book.
It's a stupid concept for a movie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they did not pull it off.
No.
Surprisingly.
Not really. I don't think they really pulled it off either time because this Pet Sematary is a remake actually that just came out. I saw Lizzie and I just watched the original not too long ago, and yeah, we have some things to say about it. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. Coming soon.
Coming soon. But we're also going to see Hayao. I don't want to butcher the name. Hayao Miyazaki. That's how you pronounce it, right? Yeah. Hayao Miyazaki.
Why would I know better than you?
Howl's Moving Castle, which is showing at the
a bunch
local
of places,
theater.
actually.
A bunch of places.
I think it's
They're doing like an anime run. It's like the 40th anniversary of a lot of them.
I think there's
so
like
doing
I think
a
it's
run.
like a nationwide thing actually.
Yeah, it's like a celebratory kind of deal. It's pretty cool.
I've heard of that before. I don't remember what it is. Howl's Moving Castle?
Yeah, Hayao Miyazaki is a very prolific Japanese directorial animator for like traditional Japanese anime. He's like I would say probably the most synonymous name when it comes to Japanese anime. He's been active for many years, and he's made so many classic films with Studio Ghibli, and Howl's Moving Castle is one of them, and they're all very amazing. We just watched Spirited Away. Lizzie is not a fan of anime, and we forced her to watch Spirited Away with us when we were down in Florida when Pat was visiting the one time, and so now she's more on our side. We've started to convert her, and this is the next step is to marathon all these movies this year actually, because it's going all throughout the year. They're playing like a bunch of Miyazaki films, which is gonna be lit.
We kind of cheated though, because I think Spirited Away is the most Lizzie Miyazaki movie.
Oh, that's why I started. Yeah, it was a very calculated move.
That's fine. Yeah, you got to ease them into it.
Yeah, and they're all fantastic stories.
Oh yeah,
and the animation's actually insane. Like I don't understand. Like I was talking earlier, I watched Lupin the Third and the Castle of Cagliostro.
Okay,
maybe that's how it's pronounced.
I believe you.
Which came out 40 years ago, and I thought it was like a late 90s movie, just because the animation was so good. I have no idea how they managed to pull that off 40 years ago. 'Cause it looks like it's so good. It's crazy.
Dude, he's a magician. People call Studio Ghibli and like Miyazaki's anime is like the Japanese Disney, pretty much. It's the same kind of fantastical stories and plots of coming of age stories and all kinds of crazy stuff like that are kind of synonymous with Disney, the kind of Disney themes. And although in my opinion, I think comparatively a lot of Miyazaki's films are definitely a lot more beautiful and artistic than
for sure
some. I mean, don't get me wrong, Disney pioneered animation quite a bit for that medium.
Are you saying that because you're still contractually obliged to?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Are you sure?
No, I just know the history now a lot better because I work there, so I know like what they contributed to the medium and how they standardized everything, and they've done good and bad. the whole copyrights.
I think that was actually a statement about pretty much everything.
That's a good point.
The copyrights that they hold of like the public domain and stuff like that.
Isn't Mickey Mouse going to public domain soon?
Very soon.
That's
Are they going to push it back again somehow?
They lobbied years and years ago when he was about to enter the public domain, and it inherently changed copyright law forever for everyone else because
Is that
Disney.
Worth it?
To them it was. Yeah, but I don't think they're going to get away with it this time.
No one else can use my cartoon mouse.
Yeah. Go look that up if you want to get mad at Disney.
Yeah.
A lot of really terrible ramifications of that. But so I can't wait to see those movies. Now, another thing I can't wait to play, but I haven't gotten the chance to. Pat, I know you have. But speaking of
Wow.
amazing directorial visionaries in the art medium named Miyazaki, we have Hideki Miyazaki's Sekiro, which just came out.
That one you definitely butchered. You skipped in it like 4 letters there.
Yeah, I've heard IGN pronounce it like that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So I was just guessing, man. You know,
IGN is right most of the time.
that's not true.
Well, maybe they just took money to say it that way, so that you would say it that way.
Now, Sekiro isn't Call of Duty, so I don't know if it got good ratings for IGN. However, I've heard very good things about it otherwise. Pat, I know you've really enjoyed it.
I very much enjoyed it.
Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is a video game.
It reminds me
of
of like how the other Miyazaki makes movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very artful and
Yeah,
like everything's beautifully done.
very deliberate.
Yeah.
Very deliberate.
And very
strokes.
inspired by Japanese folklore,
Yes.
which is also I really enjoy learning about 'cause it's really cool.
Yeah, Japanese folklore is very fascinating because their culture is so different from Americans. So it's such an interesting thing to look into and try to understand. It gives you a lot broader perspective on how, you know, different parts of the world can be, really, you know, in every way. But I've seen,
Which kind of really comes through with folklore because it's very ingrained and kind of like unique and a little obscure
to the culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
cool.
like-
I love when like 2 completely different places have like a similar character in their folklore though.
Because it shows how
Yeah.
universal some themes really are. You know,
Mm.
it's like, yeah, things can be so drastically different in totally different parts of the world, but there are some things that are like tried and true, you know, like this is kind of the way humans work in a sense, you know, which is very fascinating.
Well, after that tease, we're gonna go to break quick.
All right.
Wow.
After that tease, we're going to get to that a lot more in a
Alright, I
second.
hope there's enough content.
And we're back. Play that podcast talking about Miyazaki's and Japanese folklore
All the Miyazakis.
and how good they are at it.
They're not related, apparently. I Googled that before the show. I was like, are they? It's the same exact last name, same spelling. They're not related at all. I was going to say, I guess it's a very creative last name. It's maybe there's something there.
I guess, or it's just common.
Yeah, I think it might be. I don't know what it means. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know either.
I should have researched that too. But one thing I've been seeing on the internet lately, like since this game's come out, and even before, and it's the same thing that happens every time from Software, which is Hideki Miyazaki's game development studio that has made Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and now Sekiro. One thing I see every time one of these games comes out, because there are notoriously, for those that don't know, they're like notoriously very challenging video games, you know, a lot more than most traditional games are. You know, they're kind of like the quintessential hard video game. And one thing I always see is a bunch of games journalists and even otherwise say...
Games journalists too?
Games journalists.
Not them.
Not that. Even especially like Forbes has been publishing stuff like this too, and I'm like, this is not something you should be talking. I don't care about your opinion, but it was a Forbes article that I read about it, and there was a lot more since about Sekiro and games like it, like FromSoft games. They should have an easy mode.
I hate the internet.
I know. Well,
Because I don't hear that as like a legitimate complaint. I hear it as, this game's too hard. It needs an easy mode.
Yeah.
Upvote. It's like,
sign this change.org petition.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb drama like that with Path of Exile right now. And it's just really, it's a sensitive topic. So,
jeez.
Clearly, you perked right up when he brought that up.
It was anger.
I'm getting out of here.
Pat and I, when we first met, we had a game design. The reason we met is because we had a game design class at Ultra-C together.
From across the room.
Yeah. And that was a topic that actually came up when we were learning about game design. Is, you know, accessibility for video games and challenge for video games. How do you set difficulty for the audience and stuff like that, and to be able to give people options for their play experience and stuff. And so that's a lot of people's thing, is they go, well, the game's too hard. Like, I literally can't get through the game. And you can't be, a quote I heard is, you can't be bad at listening to an album. You can't be bad at reading a novel. You know, you can't be bad at looking at a painting, but you can be bad enough at a video game that you literally can't experience the rest of the video game because of that, you know? And I'm like, okay.
I don't even agree to all of that.
I don't agree to all, exactly. I don't really agree to all of that, But that's kind of the mentality I think a lot of people have with it. And, you know,
because like you can show someone a song and be like, oh, this is sad, I'm not gonna listen to this. And I'm like, it's a beautiful song that has like, it's really important to the singer and stuff, and it's like there's a lot of story there, and it's like has a really good message if you just listen to it. But it's like, no, it's too sad, I'm not gonna do that, I can't make it through that.
Or you might not understand it, you know.
How many games actually properly balance around a difficulty slider though? Because
none of them.
Often it's just like
lazy
bullet sponges and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
artificial difficulty.
Yeah, like Call of Duty is just like, I'm gonna throw. It's like if this part's on veteran, there's like 15 more enemies for some reason, and they take 10 more bullets to eliminate. And it's like
they shoot sharks at me.
Yeah, it's like
through the air.
And Call of Duty, like what were they spawn grenades on you for some reason?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. Pretty much.
That's a cool gimmicky mode, I guess.
Yeah,
whatever.
No, it's real. Like they're being serious about it. It's not like an arcade mode.
Yeah.
But these games and FromSoft games are they're created so particularly, so meticulously that it's not as easy as just adding a difficulty mode where you have more health and enemies have less health or something, or you do more damage so you die less. Like it's crafted so carefully to the player experience, and it's not about being difficult. It's about rewarding players for persistence, which is really what it's about, and to persevere and to adapt to challenges.
And rewarding game knowledge and skill.
Rewarding the recognition of like pattern or the recognition of hints given to you through the gameplay.
It's just a game about learning.
Yes.
And learning everything about the game.
It is. And learning's hard sometimes. And sometimes you can fail, and sometimes you have to pick yourself back up, and that's what makes it so rewarding when you finally succeed. And that's what those games are all about. It's not about just crushing difficulty that's meant to be near impossible. And so these people are just saying, oh, well, just add an easy mode. It's like, well, not only is that going to compromise the entire vision and point of the projects, I would say, but, you know, it won't be the same game you're playing for sure. And should all games really be easy enough for everyone to complete? You know, like I play those games because of how challenging they are. And if it was so easy that, like, they give the example, and Pat, I think you might be able to relate to this because you read a lot of like difficult novels and stuff like that. You read It, which is like a Bible thick.
The Stand was way harder than that one.
Yeah, like Stephen King, he's a pretty hard author to read sometimes, you know, and get through some of his works, I would say. And so they gave the example, like when you meet somebody who read a difficult novel like that, you have this like connection. You're like, we both did that.
I got to the middle of The Stand, which was about nothing. Really dry for a little bit.
Right. So you feel like a connection with somebody just based on that alone. You know, like that you can connect with them on that level. And you're going to connect with that person way more than the person who just read the Spark Notes. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what it would be if there was an easy mode to these FromSoft games, these Soulsborne games. It's like
it's also similar where it's like
Notes.
I got through The Stand because I love his writing style so much, and like his like, I don't know, I felt I get really immersed into it, which is the same thing I get with Sekiro, where it's like I play through and I might be dying a bunch, but it's really cool and I'm learning and I'm discovering new stuff, and the environment, artwork is beautiful, and even if I get killed by something, I'm like, that was pretty sweet. Let's just go try and beat him this time.
I don't think most of the internet has that mentality at all.
No, I have a really weird mentality based around that kind of stuff.
I think that's what it should be about. You know, that's what's fun about it. That's why I love the blind playthrough of the first time you go through a Soulsborne like that, because you don't know what to expect and you get to learn everything. Everything's new and fresh, and it's so exciting. And I think, I don't know, man, just people want to take that away.
People also fall into the trap in like every multiplayer game where it's like something bad happens, like they die or something, or they lose, and they're like, well, it wasn't my fault, so what can I blame? And it's like, you're not going to get through anything hard like that. It's the first question should be, what did I do wrong? And if there's nothing there, it should still try to be, what could I have done differently?
Right.
Or like, what was the best thing I could have done there? Which is what I feel like the Soulsborne games are all about.
Absolutely.
Is not the fact that no one's like picks it up and is good at it. I mean, some might be better than others, but it's all about learning and like figuring out the best way to do stuff, and like realizing that even though this is like their first idea didn't work, there's probably a better way to do it.
Yeah. Well, admitting you're wrong is hard.
Yeah.
But
sometimes,
I mean, if that's not for you, that's fine.
Yeah,
just play something else.
Right, play something
There's
else.
a million games,
many.
and it's a really good time right now for like independent video
yeah.
games. And go play some stuff. I don't know. Just don't try to change everything. You don't have to try to change everything. I mean, like, I get it because people probably feel kind of left out that they're not playing it. Care less about it.
and there's also
care
the
less.
one thing that we did. We're like, well, this might be nice. There's like more accessibility options.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
that is an
playing
actual
Sekiro,
concern.
it's like a lot of the time when it's very reaction based, and some of the reaction times windows are very small, and some people just like physically can't react that quickly.
Some people have disabilities. Some people have physical limitations.
It's like, so
you know,
I don't want that to be
No.
a limitation for someone enjoying a game. I'd still want, because even people with disabilities can still do, like, they can still figure out the game like I've been figuring it out.
It's just little changes that I've learned about that can really go a long way with making a game way easier to play for people with limitations like that. You know, giving more options so that, you know, you can condense different actions into like a single button press or something like that, you know, like just in the options menu and the keybinds menu, or not having like rapid button press quick time events and stuff like that in video games, because it's very stressful and near impossible for some people. Resident Evil 4.
It's hard for me. And I've been like,
Bayonetta, like, there's a lot of games like that. And like, that's really taxing for people that have limitations like that. And I think Microsoft's actually done something very amazing lately, which is they came out with the adaptive controller, which is like this controller for people with, you know, the need for different accessibility options. And you essentially are given like this wide range of like really large buttons and like these really interesting switches and toggles and stuff that can be programmed to do any actions like a normal controller could be. And it's for the Xbox One and PC even. So you can program it and you can essentially make your own controller that suits your physical limitations or needs.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
It's really, really amazing. And I think that's a amazing step in the right direction. And now it just needs to fall on the developers to help aid in making their software options to accommodate and help utilize those tools that are there, you know? Because I mean, everyone should be able to play video games, dude. You know, like sometimes it's, you know, if you're not physically able-bodied enough, you know, that's like some of the only stuff you can do, you know? So it's a big activity for people like that. So I think that's great. And that, you know, in that case, for sure, it should be easier, you know? But should you get an easy mode just because you don't want to die so much? No, I disagree. Like,
I think
stop complaining.
You should be able to get to the end of the game for like anybody, no matter what they're, I don't know, no matter how good they are at, like, that shouldn't be a thing. It should really be, can they get through it?
Yeah. Past
the challenges that are supposed to be set up by the game designer, as opposed to just challenges that they can't handle because they're not physically able to.
Mm-hmm. I've seen, there's people who I never would have thought would beat a Dark Souls game that have beaten a Dark Souls game because they're not necessarily that skilled at video games, you know, but they managed because they learned they learned from their mistakes, they persevered, they adapted, they built a certain way that accommodated their play style that made sense for them to do well, you know, things like that, like, and they did it and they overcame, you know, and I think that's possible in Soulsborne games for sure. I just don't think some people like doing it. Or some games journalists have really, really quick deadlines and they don't want to die so much so they can get to the end of the game and they can write a really quick review for clicks.
That too.
So yeah, that's tough. But I think it's really indicative also, like, because Miyazaki himself was even like, I'm not adding an easy mode. Like, he said it already. So it's kind of a moot point even to argue about it. But I think it's...
Take that, Forbes.
Yeah, take that, Forbes. But, you know, I think that his design philosophy and what molded him as a creator is amazing. Like, and it really shows in his work. Like, he grew up really poor and he wasn't allowed to play video games from, like, his parents wouldn't allow him to play video games. Take that, parents. I made video games now. So he grew up really poor and all he had was like to read books, and a lot of the books that he had available were like in English or just like really difficult to read. So he had to he didn't understand a lot of it. So he had to just kind of fill in the gaps that he didn't understand and make up his own pieces of the story for what he didn't understand. And that's kind of like how the story works in like the Soulsborne games. You know, like the story is very loose and there's just little pieces of lore everywhere that you kind of have to pay attention to, and there's a lot of gaps you have to fill in yourself and kind of wonder like what happened, and there's no definitive answer with that.
I like that stuff.
Yeah.
That was the one thing. So I played a little bit of Dark Souls 1, very little.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get into it, but I loved the atmosphere. It was so unique and different. And I dug that. And I was upset that I couldn't get into the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
The lore's really, really interesting.
Are we going to break real quick?
Yeah.
Already. Wow.
Goodbye.
Already. It's
We'll be right
flying
back.
by. I'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Relevant, a location-based mobile network personalized by your interests. Customize your news feed to consolidate all the information you care about all in one place to quickly and easily find what's relevant to you. Find out what's going on in your local area and reach your community from the palm of your hand. Relevant is available on iOS and coming soon to Android. Be the first to know with Relevant.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're back from that exciting commercial break. Patrick Lilly has disappeared.
Left for Oregon early.
He left for Oregon early. He was
Oregon, right?
teleported away.
Okay.
My name, Jeff. Zach, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? What have you been up to? You're seeing all sorts of movies that I don't know about, man.
Yeah,
How's that
dude.
going for you?
Why don't you ever come to the movies with us?
You never, you never invite me.
That's not true.
No, I haven't been invited to a movie in like a month.
It's because you never go.
Well, you could try to ask.
Okay. Do you want to come see How's Moving Castle on Wednesday?
What time? Probably not.
7?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an astronomy exam that I have to take this week.
Astronomy?
Yeah. It's not going great.
Dude, oh wow.
It's not going well, honestly.
You're wasting your
Yeah,
time.
I know. Well, I have to try not to fail it so I don't have to retake a class and then take more classes than I need to next semester. So
that's like how Hidetaka Miyazaki graduated college with a social sciences degree.
Did he really?
At first, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what you're doing right now.
Wow. No, I'm not.
Kinda. You're taking astronomy, dude.
What are we talking about here?
I don't know, man. What do you want to talk about?
You want to move on to segment 3 stuff?
Yeah, we
King
can.
books?
Sure,
That's
Stephen
Pat's
King
stuff.
books. Yeah, he's not
Have
here
you
for
read
it.
a Stephen King book?
I've actually never read a Stephen King book.
Have you read a book?
A few.
Okay. All right.
Stephen King books are so long. I feel like the dude doesn't know when to stop writing. It's just
and
like
even
enough,
the people
dude.
who like them are like, the endings are all bad.
They're,
So I'm like,
it's like, that's not worth it.
Pat did bring up something I do agree with, though, where it's like the journey also matters. You know what I mean? Like,
it's all about that Lord of the Rings mentality. You know, it's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Unless,
Sure.
Yeah, unless the destination's throwing the ring in the volcano.
Yeah. No, that is a sad. That book does end sad.
Yeah.
Because they can't readjust.
Yeah.
And they all die or go away.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really depressing. Actually, I'm sad now.
Are you sad?
I forgot just how crushing those movies
in
end.
those in that movie they had to film that White Harbor scene. I don't know, Grey Havens. I'm sorry. They had to film that scene all day long, so they just cried all day long. And then the next day, Pete Jackson went to the Hobbits, like the actors, and they were like, Sean Astin, who plays Sam, was wearing the wrong vest the whole time. We have to do another day of the Grey Havens. So they just cried for 2 days straight.
Oh my.
So
that's insane.
yeah.
See, I don't know a lot of the like little behind the scenes stuff. I really want to. I would love to get into it.
Yo, I offered to give Josh. I have all the extended editions of the DVDs. I got the Blu-rays and stuff, which come with literal hours of behind the scenes stuff.
That's really interesting.
Which we talked about before. That's like a big reason why I got into film.
Same.
Yeah, I told Josh I'd give it to him, but I'll give it to you first.
Well, he's in LA right now.
He is in LA.
So dibs.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not saying this at all.
Yeah.
We'll be having a lot of vlogs actually too of him out in LA, which I'm really excited for. He saw the Grand Canyon. He's going to be out in warm weather. Lizzie's really excited to edit all that stuff. Yeah. We got that coming on the pipe. There's
live vicariously through Josh Brennan.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, same. I'm going to be doing the same thing. I always wanted to go out to LA. I haven't gotten out there yet, so hopefully I'll see if maybe if it's worth a gander. I don't know.
Yeah. They say good things.
Yeah, maybe he'll say good things. I don't know yet.
Probably not.
He'll come back and be like, I hate it, and everyone will go back.
Yeah.
Let's never move Lab 212 out to LA if we get the chance.
Are we going to wait for Pat to dip into the Stephen King stuff?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think I can talk about, let me preface the whole, because we'll talk about Pet Semetary, which we've seen, because it's kind of on the brain at the moment. It's kind of interesting. But one thing that I'm definitely like, dude, I cannot handle the horror genre anymore. Like the horror thriller genre. It's just schlock, man.
Yeah,
it's
for
just
sure.
terrible. And it sucks because Lizzie really loves the horror genre, man. And I stick it out. I've stuck it out many times. Like we watched The Nun, which is part of the Conjuring universe. That movie was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Well, all right, Lizzie has to give her 2 cents here.
I can work the board now.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on.
Well, I knew The Nun was going to be bad, but I wanted to see it anyway because I'm a fan.
Did she tell you that going in? That she knew it was going to be bad? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the whole universe that they built,
even
though I only like the Conjuring movies.
Yeah, but
the first one mostly, not really the second one.
How big's the universe? What do you mean?
There's like 5
the Conjuring movies. That's 2. The Annabelle movies, which is 3, and then The Nun.
The Conjuring has like a doll in it, right?
That's the Annabelle.
Okay.
She's set up in the original Conjuring.
Yeah.
I think, and
I saw that.
She gets a spinoff, which she doesn't need. See, dude, I just
is that like a Chucky thing or
no? That's like it's a true story.
It doesn't have it's not as exciting or interesting or unique as Chucky, so it doesn't have as nearly as much personality.
Did we talk about how that's
as
getting
a movie
remade? Chucky?
Is it actually
Mark
though?
Hamill
Mark Hamill's, which is the only reason why I mentioned
doing
that.
the voice.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know. I haven't seen the actual previews or like rumor
mill.
No.
Is there? No.
His Joker's so good, which is why I'm excited for it. And then we can talk about that.
Did you see the
I did.
The trailer? Really? You're not excited?
It looks so good.
White Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in a Joker standalone movie, a movie I think we've been wanting since Dark Knight. I
want to like it. I hope it's good. I don't know. He didn't particularly blow me away. That doesn't mean it can't change. It's just the trailer. They're cut together weird and stuff. I'm not a huge trailer guy.
I'm a huge fan of Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
I have faith in him. I think he'll do a good job.
I like the sort of like thing they're doing where they're like it's just gonna be about him getting beat down the whole time. I like that. I think that's gonna be cool. Like society's messing him up. I think he starts out
as a normal person and you see his spiral into insanity.
I'm excited for that. I hope that's good. I just wasn't like Josh freaked out when he saw that.
I'm gonna be honest, I got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps when I watched it.
All right.
I love stories like that because
me too.
I think if it's a good actor and stuff, when you see that change in their face,
right?
Yes,
I really like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get my hopes up too much because everything I've seen lately has really disappointed me. But anytime I get hyped for something, it just ends up not fulfilling.
DC's been doing pretty good though. I watched a little bit of Shazam. I mean, like recently. Shazam.
With the 2 movies.
Shazam's good.
You gotta make her come back somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
What's the second one? Shazam was good apparently, and
Aquaman. I heard
was okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
but they're
still
getting
heard it
better.
was really
they're getting
schlocky.
better though, so hopefully it'll keep going up.
I hope this will be the thing that puts. I mean, Shazam might be it too, but I hope this is the thing that puts him back on the right track. Yeah,
I feel like you have to at least subconsciously learn from your mistakes. So even if you don't want to get better, you're going to get a little better.
Yeah,
right?
It's like it would be literal insanity at this point if they didn't improve whatsoever. Patrick Lilly has teleported back into our arms.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, Mike's
on. You're already learning.
Lizzie was weighing in on the. Because I was saying I hate the horror genre because it's so it's like hit or miss, but it's 90% of the time miss for whenever I partake in it. At this point, I love it. I love the old stuff, man. But anything new I've been seeing is terrible, and I feel like a hipster or something for that. I feel really jaded. But
I like the horror genre so much because it's hard to make a good movie, and when there is a good movie, you're just blown away.
How do you define genre-wise? The John Krasinski movie we saw.
Quiet
Place. Quiet Place. That's thriller, dude.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's horror.
I'm fine with that being the only thing that exists that's scary.
I think that's the thing.
Like that's how dead to me horror is.
People they made monster movies and they're like, this is a genre, horror. But I feel like most horror movies that stand out are just movies that happen to be scary and the story's about something else. Or the story's about it, but it's like not the point. Like A Quiet Place is like set in a world where there's a terrible thing going on, so they have to live a certain way, and that's what drives
being
the story.
Scary and suspenseful.
As opposed to it being like
it's supposed to be scary.
And then every 12 minutes there's going to be a jump scare with a loud noise, so the crowd jumps.
Here's
Monsters
the scary thing.
aren't interesting to me.
I think monsters done right are interesting. Like, I'm excited for the new Godzilla movie where he's going to be fighting almost all the monsters seemingly in the Godzilla roster.
That could be, yeah. Chan, that's probably going to be bad. I'm sorry.
But it'll be better than the last Godzilla movie because it at least seems like they know what people want this time, which is not barely any
I wanna see
Godzilla.
Godzilla punch a bunch of monsters that I can go home and Google later. I don't even want to know where they're coming from.
That could be entertaining, but I'm not going to be like compelled.
But you're saying that you don't like movies like what? Like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, like those kinds of monsters?
So that's more interesting because those are, you can think of those people, you can think of them as people,
right?
Like the human mind is what's interesting to me. Like what compels people to do things,
yes,
and like what led them to being that way. That's what interests me.
Psychological stuff is the most scary for me
because monsters aren't like bad people aren't monsters, they're people. Yes, and that's what's interesting.
Yes.
I have an idea.
I agree.
Let's transport to a different genre.
Okay.
We can nail down this point.
Okay.
So in the superhero movie genre.
Okay.
So let's say Iron Man, which is a good movie.
The first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was well received. I liked it.
I did too.
I thought it was like
saw it when it came out in theaters.
Human story about a guy who happened to find a way to do something superhuman, as opposed to Suicide Squad, which is a movie where they're like, it's a superhero movie. So that means every couple minutes we're just gonna have them punch something. And they're gonna use their special tool, and they're gonna beat them up, and that's the story. And it's just gonna last an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever, and we're gonna throw a bunch of names in there, and it's gonna be a good movie. I think that's the problem horror has, where there's like, here's a scary premise, and we're just gonna be scary, and then the movie's gonna be over, and that's it.
Well, yeah, because those bad superhero movies you're talking about are following a formula that they think people will be really interested in, and horror is not any different. I mean, it's the same thing with every genre or anything in general. If they have the formula that is going to draw in like the lowest common denominator so that they have the most people possible, that's what they're going to
do. I don't know. I feel like the quality of both showmanship, craftsmanship, artistic value of like within the horror genre now has just decreased so much comparatively from back when I think it was more at its height, and even when it comes to something like, you have John Carpenter's The Thing, which has practical effects, or even the first Alien movie, they had practical effects and ideas that still to this day are like, you go back and watch those movies and it's amazing, and it still is so believable and real the way it's presented. There's just amazing work that they did, and there's just no one's doing stuff like that I see, at least in the mainstream light. I'm not someone who's like going to like indie film festivals to find horror movies necessarily, but what's coming to like bubbling to the surface in the mainstream light, like these Conjuring movies or like Paranormal Activity from back in the day, thank God those movies died out, but it's just so much less inspired, I would say, and loving, has way less of a loving touch than I think those older films did. And I think you're right too about it's like these directors are afraid the audience is going to get bored, if someone isn't dying every 30 seconds on screen, or if there's not loud noises to wake them up, from in the theater.
Yeah, so like in the beginning they always do jump scares with like a broom falling over or something.
It's really stupid.
Or like the cat knocking something over.
Yeah.
They could just be developing characters, so later on when they're trying to pay off the story, I actually care.
Yeah.
As opposed to them just dying. I'm
right.
Like, all right.
I don't care about these characters.
I didn't even know that guy's name, even though I said it before. I just didn't like resonate with me because I didn't care about him at all.
I'm scared about characters I care about. I'm not scared for people's lives that I have no attachment to. Like, we've been watching even Peaky Blinders, which is not even a scary movie. It's pretty suspenseful at times, I would say.
And a lot of the characters you care about
not
are
a movie, TV show.
Pretty terrible people.
And yes, and they're not even like necessarily good people. They're like anti-heroes for the most part, or just straight up antagonists in any other light because they're criminals.
You can still like characters that are bad if they're just well written.
And when they're in a bad situation and they could possibly die or something bad can happen to them, like I'm like tensed up, like my heart's like racing for them, even though they like that. There's a lot of reasons why I shouldn't have that response because they might not deserve it, but that's good character writing. And I think that's what hinges on these things being scary or not. It's not a matter of like how loud a jump scare is or how gory, a gore scene is. It's about who are these characters. Like, you care about Ripley in Alien, and you care about, you care about. I was gonna go back to the thing because I don't remember his name right now. It's not Russell Crowe. Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell Crowe. Yeah, I was close. You care about those people, and I think that's part of why it's so scary almost, because you're rooting for them and fearing for their lives as much as they are. But in Pet Semetary,
we gotta go to break.
We're going to go to a break, and we're going to get to Pet Semetary.
Yeah. That's what you think.
I'll be right back. We're back on the podcast. Pet Semetary.
Sometimes you read through a really long book and you really like that book, and then people that want to make a lot more money off that book and idea, they say, let's turn it into a movie, and then they turn it into a movie, and then maybe that movie's like pretty subpar, and then 20 years after that, they're like, let's cash in on that again with another movie, but it's a remake, and then that movie's even worse than the first time around, and that's Pet Semetary.
I have a question.
First, before that, Pet Semetary was like 300 pages.
Yeah.
So
how many pages did you say it was?
You said a really long book.
Okay. I didn't know it was that short.
I mean,
it is one of the shorter ones. Yeah, I forgot about that.
You'll forget he literally wrote. He has like compendiums of short stories.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Thinking about what we're talking about on this podcast as a whole, why do we care so much about bad movies compared to like? Why is our response to people wanting an easy mode in Sekiro, like play something else, but we'll tear movies apart? Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Kind of, yeah. Except I think it's two different things.
Yeah, no,
because we make fun of bad games too. But Sekiro is a good game.
No, we don't.
I feel like I've rarely played a bad game and come on here and talked about it, about how bad it was. Because it doesn't. I don't know, like. Because I think I get locked into a theater for 2 hours and I have to sit through. Like, I spent half of that movie wanting to go to sleep.
That's one of the reasons
the guy next to me did start sleeping.
Yeah.
That's one of the nice things about video games is you can stop whenever. As soon as you're not having fun anymore, you stop. But I won't walk out of a movie or turn it off because I've already felt like I've invested a certain amount of time.
Same.
That's true. That's weird. I think it's because it's a complete story and you know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
It's not like video games where I'm going to be stuck on this level for 3 hours and then it's going to inflate my playthrough time. Like movies are like, no matter, it's like if it's from when you press play, as long as you don't stop it, it's going to end at a certain time.
I can grind Path of Exile Endgame till my fingers turn to mush.
Exactly.
I think in the case of like video games to movies for me, I think I like talking about things that are bad because it's like an exercise of, because they're two mediums that I've created things within to know enough about them that I know what makes something good or what makes something bad, So it's kind of like an exercise of thought of like, well, what went wrong that this resulted in a bad experience and the mark was missed? And you kind of like break it down, and I think it helps me become a better creative as a result, to be able to break things down and understand all those moving parts, that went into it. And I do it less with, I think I just do it less with video games now because I just play less video games. But also, I've just taken to playing less bad video games. Like I have the few that I gravitate towards that I know are very good. Whereas with movies, I'm still going out and unfortunately I'm constantly trying to get into other things, and it's just pretty abysmal most of the time, but it is interesting to break it down and kind of wonder like how this went wrong. And I think Pet Semetary goes wrong almost the entire time.
Yeah.
The more I think about it.
Which I think is an interesting topic because it seems like every other Stephen King books gets adapted at some point. And a lot of them go very badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think his writing is really specific and he does a lot not through dialogue or action, like a lot of thoughts and a lot of getting to know characters that isn't portrayed in the screen at all when they adapt it.
Because you can't portray thoughts very easily in movies.
So I think that a lot of that is where the adaptations fall by the wayside and like why they're bad.
I never thought of that until you said that. And that makes absolute sense, honestly.
That's what I feel like that was the problem with Pet Semetary is that there's a guy who's their neighbor whose name is Judd. And the first one I loved him because he had this weird, is like super thick Maine accent.
Same.
And it's great.
Amazing.
and you love him, and you get why he's hanging out with the family so much. But in this one, John Lithgow is just like an old dude who's kind of crazy.
And he's
and
like
then
creepy.
they're like, and then as the scenes go on, you're like, why do they keep inviting him to stuff? Like, why is he at their daughter's
no
birthday
reason.
party? He's just the dude who told them their cat died.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
There's no development. Like, Judd gets way more character development, I'm sure, in the book, and definitely in the original film.
In the book, he's like literally I think the one chapter starts with the main character, like the father is like, I didn't expect to move to Maine and find a new father figure, but I did in Judd, which is not come across in the movie at all. Judd's just some like weird kind of crazy dude.
He's just weird. And even the main character, like the father of this film, is so much less somehow developed than in the original. And that's the problem with this movie, I think, at its core, because we just talked about characters and caring about characters, and this film gives so little time to care about anyone or get attached to anybody in a legitimate way. Like the original, it's a very slow burn, right up until when everything hits the fan near the end and like the kid comes back, spoilers, and the kid comes back and gets very upset with the father and the rest of the family. That doesn't happen until like very late in the film. So everything before that is like, you know, they have a happy life, something goes absolutely terrible, which is, in my opinion, the best part of that film. Is so gut-wrenching and horrific and sad, you know, and impactful on screen. And I think that child actor from back then, he was amazing as well. He played it to a T. Like it made it so much worse.
Realize what he was doing most of the time. He's really, really young, but
it was perfect casting.
Yeah.
And so, you know, all that like is just heart-wrenching. And this new film doesn't even do that right, because it rushes through it and it cheeses that moment as well with a terrible CG like instead of just having the kid bad. Once again, spoilers, instead of just having the main character's daughter get hit by the truck, you know, it like there's this terribly done CG where the like trailer hitch unhitches and it goes flying off the back of the truck, and then that is what just like careens into her. Like it was just so unnecessary and
it
like
was
weird.
CG edited.
Yeah, it wasn't real. It was so obvious.
That's like a Final Destination.
Dude, that movie managed to make every moment that was supposed to feel like something. They managed to ruin it.
Yeah.
Immediate, like in the scene.
Yeah, in the same breath, it manages to cheese it. And you know, like somehow, because I thought the first film, the part where it loses me is at the end, because the special effects for the time were very not good. You know, like they definitely didn't age well when I watched it recently, and that really pulled me out of it a little bit, because it's like, oh, you know, because it's already kind of cheesy, because like a kid comes back as a zombie and he's like really superhuman strong, and so it's just like weird. Like it's really, and then in this film, I thought, okay, well at least the CG and like the special effects will be better, so it should.
Especially in a movie where you don't need a lot of CG.
You don't, yeah. And so hopefully it'll work better this time. No, it actually is worse. Yeah. And they even depart from the source material a lot in the later parts of this movie.
End, which is
terrible.
Weird.
It
makes you like Judd
sense.
even less.
Yes.
That's my one critique of this. I just want to like Judd, dude. If you put Judd on the screen, he's speaking his thick Maine accent, he's telling you about the dead is better sometimes. That's all I want.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah. They couldn't even do that right.
They couldn't, He delivered that line really lazily. Yeah. He was really phoning it in, man. I like John Lithgow, but he was really phoning this one in.
He's a comedic actor a lot of the time, isn't he?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, dude.
Sometimes. He was in Dexter. He was the Trinity killer in Dexter. He played that really,
Then they should have nailed it, whatever. He
played Lord Farquaad in Shrek.
Is that true?
Yes, he was the voice of Lord Farquaad.
That's crazy.
So that's 2 onions out of 5 on the Brilliant of the
Not
podcast
even,
scale,
dude.
right?
2 onions.
1.
But I do want to compare that to It, which the original came out like a year after Pet Semetary came out, and that so they're from the same time, and they just got remakes made recently. I think It does a way better job of recreating a story in the present time than Pet Semetary did.
Yeah, I hated It way less.
Yeah, for sure. You didn't like it?
I don't think it was like some people were like, oh, it was amazing. Like it was okay, you know. It didn't fly in the face of anything. Like I felt like it was pretty good. It was well cast.
That's another thing then, because I really liked it, because I thought it was like, it's like what you want from watching a movie from a book you loved.
Yeah.
Is like where you just watch it and you're like, oh, this is how I imagined it. And like that's like
That's
how
good.
he is. Yeah, and that's like what you want. And which Pet Semetary managed to fail to do.
Oof.
But I thought did pretty well, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the second half. And I think the casting for the second half is gonna be awesome. But
talking about it again 2 years later.
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's coming back, dude.
Do you think they're gonna keep remake? You know what I don't want them to touch?
What?
Don't do The Shining, dude. Please don't touch that film.
It's coming, dude.
Don't touch that film, dude. It was already pretty weird to do it the first time. Don't adapt it to film.
I also don't get what the last scene is. Like the last scene in the movie where
Of The
Jack
Shining?
Nicholson's freezing in the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that in there?
That's for the sequel. That's actually what
What,
they're
where he
doing.
turns into Iceman? Like
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
don't get it. Well, just to
doesn't make
show
any
that he
sense.
died, because you want the closure. If you just never saw him after that chase
There
scene,
is closure. It
yeah,
shows him
because
in the picture,
the last
they
the
overlook.
painting, I
Yeah.
guess.
So he's like the hotel like ate
It's
him or
really
whatever.
bad. I just watched that film again recently. We did, Lizzie and I, and that shot is so
I
bad.
didn't know. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
Yeah, it's very jarring. It was not a good idea. I don't know why they did that. I agree, but I don't know. It's a lot of decisions like that I think are made because there's always a big concern with film audiences, like the producers or the money behind the projects, that want it to sell well. They come down to the director and they go, I don't think the audience is going to understand this. You need to explain this more. Hence why the first Blade Runner gets narration for the same reason. Like there's a lot of things that happen that way where it's like you need to add these scenes because we feel
that's
like
fair, 'cause
they'll
Blade
be
Runner's kinda
confused. Yeah,
But it was
I mean,
confusing with narration a little bit.
yeah. And just a lot of stuff like that. It's like, oh, the general audiences are not gonna follow this, or they test it, with audiences, and audiences are very confused, and then they have to add stuff, and sometimes it makes it worse because you're kind of like dumbing it down, which if you want to placate to the broadest audience possible, I guess that's a thing you have to compromise on, but a lot of times it ends up compromising too much, and then it makes the end result kind of bad, like that, like The Shining, like, I wish that scene wasn't in it, but it is. It's just like,
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not saying that's what that's kind of my hypothesis. I don't know if that's why it's like that.
I don't think anyone can actually explain that.
No,
That last scene, I don't get it.
not Stanley Kubrick.
No.
On
Jeez.
that
All
note,
right. So yeah, stop adapting Stephen King stories unless you take the time to develop the characters.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Or you want to make a 4-hour-long movie.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Or a miniseries.
Yeah. Yes. Why is that not how they go about these things?
They made The Stand into a miniseries,
Okay.
and no one's heard of it.
I think that's definitely the way to go to adapt these stories because they're so long.
It's like Game of Thrones. It's like that's
Yeah.
what they did with that.
Game of Thrones would
except
not
a
work as a
miniseries.
2-hour movie.
Yeah, no.
yeah, sure.
Not even to condense an entire, like if you want to do each book as a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
think that would work.
So they could do Lord of the Rings, but those movies are also supposed to be like
They're long.
4
too.
hours each.
Yeah,
or something.
they're long.
Yeah.
So
All right, we gotta stop soon. I'm
we
sorry.
gotta stop. We gotta put an
stop
end to this. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this pretty lax edition of the Poorly Edited podcast. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. We're kind of taking a little breather, a little chill pill at the moment because we got a lot of stuff coming up in the pipeline. A lot of stuff we're recording, a lot of stuff we're coming out with. We're also working on a lot of different sets right now and like projects to release that are not part of like our entertainment stuff on our YouTube channel. We're doing some work with other people as well. So really exciting stuff. Can't wait for you all to see what we got going on. Thank you. Check us out on YouTube, Lab212, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything like that. Poorly Edited Podcast. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chandler Davis. Anyone else want to shout anything out?
Oh boy, I don't know. You have anything, Pat?
Not that I can think of. Music by Mungo.
Music by Mungo.
Music by Mungo.
Come to the Queen City premiere this Thursday if
yeah.
you're listening.
Go check it out.
And go
Alright.
to the Bethlehem Public Library because we're going to be there a lot pretty
Just
soon.
be there in general. Go to a library.
Just
Support
go to
it
a
or
library.
whatever.
Just go read
I
Stephen
got-
King novels.
Dude, I got 5 Stephen King books for like $7 at a
That's
book
true.
sale. It was crazy. All right.
All
That's
right.
it for us.
It'll take you
Good-
7 years to finish.
Exactly. Have a great night, everybody.